Again, thank you all for being here. How many of you have seen this? So for those of you who have seen this, can I take a few minutes to explain for those who have not seen this? Is that okay? We build your investment, or we envision to build your investment as if we are building a business for you. A business which will help you attain HNI status. And for those of you who are already HNIs in the room, maybe it will help you to build ultra high net worth status. The likes of people like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, it's clear that they have invested in businesses, right? Or they have built their businesses, yes? So at the core of it, first let's understand in part 1, I would like to, put the simple things which will help build a business. What happens when you start a business? What's that which is extremely critical? 90% businesses, 99% businesses need that. What is that? Familiar with this term? Liquidity? Yes? You don't need money to start a business, but can you run your business without money for a long period of time? No? You can't, isn't it? And then what does the business do once it starts? It starts with, this is your foundation, yeah? And then it invests in a product or a service. Let's take, it starts a small supermarket. What's the intention of creating that supermarket? Is to build, is to generate? Like the suspense? Cash flow. Now think of us as small and medium businesses. Most of us save money, go buy a whatever asset, like start a business, make some cash flow, and keep rotating in that space, yes? The people who are in the top tier, they are able to add a couple of more elements. They are able to cross this line, which involves two things. And without this, no one, absolutely with certainty, not a single person can attain HNI status, or those who have become high net worth individuals have been able to attain that status. And that's, we call it, any idea what this is? It's not a drug. Leverage. Everyone understands leverage? Okay, when you buy a house or when you buy an asset, you put down 20% and balance 80% you borrow from the bank, yes? So in essence, do you really own that asset? Not really. So with 20% of your money, you are controlling the asset, yes? So the thing to learn about all this is that the minute you understand how to control an asset rather than really not being interested in necessarily owning it, that's the time when, that's the thing which differentiates people like the likes of Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and people like us. You start off with some money in your bank, go buy the asset, and that asset starts giving you cash flow. Correct? And then when your business becomes more successful, when that supermarket that you started becomes successful, what happens? How do you go faster? You start leveraging it. That is, you involve bank, you find investors, and then eventually what happens is you expand your business, and you're not necessarily owning the stores, but you are actually controlling those stores. So essentially that starts creating multiple sources of income streams, and what your business or your the whole value of your business starts expanding, correct? Now we are trying to follow a similar approach here. Okay? For many of you, we started off with foundation assets. What does that foundation asset mean? We started building assets to ensure security and flexibility. Boring investments. Because they act like our cash in the bank. You want money, you have an opportunity, you want to access your money, you can access it within 3 days, 4 days, 5 days without having to pay heavy charges and things like that. Liquidity. Now, for many of you here, when you started off with us, did you started making cash flow? No. Because over here, money in your bank, you're still not invested in your business. Nearly 50% of the assets we recommend to keep in such assets. We started investing in mutual funds, stocks, deposits, your cash in bank, all this we started accounting as your foundation assets. It's like we were getting ready to build that business or getting ready to buy that asset which will start giving us cash flow. And then we step into the core section where Oksana presented about buying assets and Gregory mentioned about buying structured notes, which requires you to plan. And that the idea there is very simple. They are going to create cash flow for you. Passive income streams. Active income is where you earn by putting your time. Passive income is something where you generate out of your assets. Some of you send us the proposal saying this, my bank has sent this, this looks good, I'm going to invest for 5 years and I'm going to get back this much amount after 10 years, things like that. We say outright no, right? I think of it like that you know what, save for that car, I'll give you the test drive after 5 years. We don't believe in that. We want to make sure that anything that you invest out of this section, like a business, it has to give you compulsorily cash flow. So when you invest in this asset or this supermarket, can you liquidate it in 1 day? Can you liquidate it in 3 days? No. That's a challenge. So therefore, we also recommend not to go buying apartments and this and that with that money, because when you want it, you can't have it. That's where we started building rental properties. We started working with Greg and started building structured notes, bonds and things like that. This is where, we introduced something called as a performance section. Now, at the rate of, if we keep asking you to keep saving money and keep buying assets and keep saving money and keep buying assets, it could take you 30, 40 years by the time you could make a decent amount of passive income, correct? Like businesses can go and raise money from investors, from the banks, from, venture capitalists and things like that. Your investments also have this option called leverage, where you can actually buy or borrow against your assets and you can invest. Now, it's something like a high risk business, because what happens is, the example I gave you of buying the house on 20% down payment, for the down payment also you ended up borrowing money. Okay? So what would happen if things go against your plan? Bank will repossess the property. You could go bankrupt. Therefore, for many of you, when you are interested in going full force on this performance side of it, we say, no, you know what, hold on. Let us look at your total asset allocation. Yes, we have done that, during your review. Because in this is where that 80% of your results are going to come with 20% of your savings. This is where even we believe the right team and leverage is absolutely essential. I cannot grow my small supermarket into a Carrefour if I don't have access to money, or if I don't have the skills, or if I don't have the right team in place. Similarly, we will not be able to build this kind of a high performance, results for you if you don't have the right team, or if you were to venture on your own, you need to make sure that you have the right team in place. The challenge is this is sophisticated. Yes, it's not like, I can just go and start investing and things like that. This involves some amount of skill. Recommended asset allocation is 20%. When I say this can actually be something which can amplify your wealth, this could be an absolute destroyer of wealth as well, if it is not applied in the right way. Derivatives, futures and options, leveraging those assets which we buy in the UK, currency trading, these are some of the specialized areas in which we have built our expertise so that we can create those passive income streams. Now, I'll just try to sum it all together so that it all ties in all together. So, most of you, when we start together, we start telling, keep building your mutual funds. Yeah, keep building your mutual funds and stocks and things like that. That, in essence, we are starting to build liquidity and there's no cash flow. It's like, have patience, you're driving a Toyota or a Honda. It will not go at 200 kilometers per hour. You can add boosters to it, but it was meant to be reliable, long term, less maintenance, that kind of a vehicle. Yes? Second stage, after you have built certain amount of liquidity, then we say, okay, let's go now buy some assets and start making some passive income streams. Let's make some income in pounds, dollars, whatever, currencies that's possible. Where maybe those assets will get locked up for 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years, we don't know, but it will give you income for sure. Then, once we have made sure that 80% or you have kind of found a strong footing, then we say, you know what, you have worked so hard to build all these assets. If you are okay, let's take a little bit of risk. You owned your Hondas and Toyotas, you owned your German cars, now let's go for the Lamborghinis. Why not? Yes, you don't have to modify them. And that's where we bring in those leveraging and all those complicated things, currency trading and all. But they are something which you cannot overtake a Lamborghini using a Honda, no matter how much you boost up the thing for, right? Yes. Similarly, over here, you get those assets, that power. Again, it's in the hands of the person who you have given that power to. Anybody can push the throttle. Yes? But you have power doesn't mean you should use it all the time. That's not necessary. We use it wisely. And then create another source of passive income stream. So what essentially happens is, when you started off, you started dumping your savings into a system, into the business. And that business started building its own source of income streams. And then finally, when all the assets that you bought starts making all these income streams, what happens to your assets? It starts to expand. Are you able to connect everything now? Yeah. Now, for many of you in the room, you are already experiencing this. You already have your assets in all these baskets. Now, how much time do we really spend on really talking about this? Once in 6 months? Maybe 20 minutes? Rest everything we talk everything else. Because it's like a business in a box. Once you are a founder or a promoter or a shareholder of a company and you have built a company which has its own CEO, which has its own team and things like that, do you really get into the nitty-gritties of it? Not really. You leave it to the team to run, and you sit on a board meeting where the team is supposed to give you the performance report. That's it. We have clients from across the world, Switzerland to US to everywhere. They really don't have the time, so it's kind of automated. After the whole engine starts moving, it kind of gets completely automated. There is a good risk reward equation. There is a price that you will pay or we will pay for not taking risk at all. 100%. Yes? So, there is a good risk and reward equation. And this is the best benefit. Now, for most of you who are already in this part of the world where your children are studying in one continent and or two of your kids are going to be studying in two different continents, if you just give them a property in somewhere in outskirts of Bangalore, you think that's a better deal for them? That asset is going to get lost in transition. All that you worked for 20, 30 years, there is a chance, right? I'm not saying for certainty it will happen, but there's a good chance. We have seen this happen. So this whole thing is the best benefit, I would say. It's like you're building a business and you're leaving it to the next generation. This is the last minute slide. I'm done with my presentation actually. This is the last minute slide which I added today because it was important that I add this. And this comes to most of our clients here I can see are from the Indian subcontinent. So it's like when you started saving, you started sending every single penny home. Bought your land, bought your property, bought your FDs and things like that, yes? And for a few years, you know that we have been talking to you that, you know what, let's invest abroad, let's invest in Amazon, let's invest here, let's invest there, and we have been pushing you towards that, yes? So now I think I need to report to you as a board. You are my investors and I am your director or CEO of your company and I need to give you a performance report of this. Yes? This one talks about, it's a world map and it talks about world equity market capitalization. That is how big is the market. That is United States and this is year 2011, but the data is maybe around 2009-10. US was 44% of the global share. And that little small box, that is Microsoft. And you see this little fellow here? So that's us, that's India, 1% there. Yeah? Achhe din aayenge. We have seen a lot of versions of our India, right? You know, like we are going to be like, what India, China are going to be the next big stuff. Any guesses in the latest version how it looks? This, you see that, right? That is Microsoft and this is India. This is probably almost as big as India. Microsoft is almost as 3/4 of Indian market cap. Come on, 2019 or 18, where are we? Okay, how many of you say more than 10%? Hands, show of hands. Okay, 2, 3. How many of you say between 5 and 10%? Okay, quite more. How many of you say less than 5%? Okay, quite a few. How many of you say less than 1%? Okay, 2 of them. Okay, here, 2 of them. Okay, going once, twice, that is Apple. And there you go. And this, which was at 44%, is 52%. We are assembling all this team and things like that because we think like we are actually building a business for you. And when we are building a business, we are not going to set up a factory next to your house because you live there. It doesn't work. That's not how high net worth individuals or business people do it. Our intention is that we will go where there's an opportunity, so that we will consider all the factors and it will make work for you. Thank you.